Sure. Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilman Rodwald,
Here.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Here.
Councilman Cobb,
Present.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes, ma'am.
7 members present.
All right, thank you very much. And tonight's, let's see here, make sure I'm going. Tonight's invocation will be by Councilman Cobb.
Dear Heavenly Father, help us do what's right for our citizens and community. Watch over what we do. Watch over our first responders, our deputies, our fire and EMS. Watch over our military, their families, and help us get through this pandemic. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. And moving on to the pledge, Mr. Grimm has the flag as usual. Thank you, sir. The pledge allegiance to
To the flag
of the
of
United
the
States
United
of
States
America
of America,
and to the republic
for which it
stands
one
nation,
nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Grimm. And moving on, we will need action on the regular scheduled work session minutes for 1/19/2021.
So moved.
Second.
I think we had Miss Eggleston first, and I'm not sure who the second was. I heard multiple.
Just pick anybody.
Okay, Mr. Cobb.
I
is
heard Cobb.
Okay, Mr. Cobb.
Okay.
Council, any discussion on those minutes before we go for the vote?
Nope.
All right, when you're ready, Miss Berner.
All right. Okay. Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Abstain. I was not here.
okay, Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
and Councilman Cobb.
Yes.
All right, those minutes are accepted 601.
All right, thank you, Miss Berner. And then again, minutes, action on minutes for the regular scheduled council meeting of January 19th, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Nowakowski with the motion, second by Miss Eggleston.
Okay.
And any discussion on those, council? All right, when you're ready, Miss Berner, please.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Abstain. Same reason.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Eggleston.
Yes.
Those minutes are also accepted 601.
All right, thank you very much. And moving on to communications done tonight, and we go down to number 7, City Manager's Report. Mr. Bridge, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Council, members of the public. I'd like to share with you the City Manager Report for February 1st, 2021. Let me go ahead and share my screen while I do this. Just give me 1 second.
I love that feature. It's great.
It is.
I agree.
All right, we'll just go here to the packet. Make that all nice and big for everyone to see. Give me a second while I scroll to the. Here's your minutes. Okay, so we should be about getting there. And here's your city manager report. And of course, my mouse is going faster than I'm doing. So I'm just going to turn my mouse off and manually use my board here. Yeah, much better. Okay, so kind of packed with information this week. So we'll start up the top here, and it says Clark County Combined Health District County COVID-19 statistics attached. This is not the normal update that we do give council. That will come at the next meeting. However, it does break down the statistics as far as age and deaths. Pretty sad, but good information to have. So council, take a look at that. If you have any questions, just direct them towards me and we can definitely get an answer for you. In addition to the Clark County Combined Health District stats, we have finally got the volunteer firefighters dependent fund board appointments. So council needs to elect 2 members to serve a 1-year appointment. Council needs to approve these members by motion. The Fire and EMS Department has already elected their 3 members, April Fox, Sean Richter, and Garth Musgrove. They nominated April Fox to be the member elected by both City Council and the Fire and EMS Department. They nominated Garth Musgrove to serve as as the board chairperson, and then also named April Fox to serve as the board secretary. Council also needs to approve these measures by motion. So what I'm requesting tonight, the council, is a motion to appoint 2 of your members, and then a motion to approve what the fire department has done to this date. And
Okay, so you'd like 2 separate motions then, I would assume?
yeah. So first, you guys got to select your 2 members and approve that by motion, and then just follow it up with the motion to approve what the fire department's already done.
Okay, well, let's do let's get the one that's already set in place more or less on our screen. We have a motion to accept those nominations for the fire department.
So moved.
Second.
I think Mr. Grimm was first and a second by Ms. Nowakowski, if I heard correctly. Any discussion on those before we ask for a vote? All right, and when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
All right, Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook, no problem.
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
All right, the motion to approve those members passes 7-0.
Okay, and then we need 2 from council. Does anybody want to volunteer for those positions? Mr. Cobb and Mr. Cook.
Good.
We need a motion to accept Mr. Cobb and Mr. Cook to those positions on the fire board.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Eggleston, second by Mr. Rodwell. Any discussion on that matter? All right, and when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
All right, Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Sustain.
can you state your reason?
You can't vote for yourself.
Okay. Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Abstain for the same reason.
okay. Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
and Councilman Rodwald.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 5-0-2.
All right, thank you much, Ms. Berner, and back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Berner, who on the first motion to approve what the fire department come before, who did the motions on that? Sorry, I switched in between.
Grimm had the first,
Okay.
Nowakowski had the second.
Thank you. Okay, let me get my screen back up so we can share that again. Anytime, so the public knows, anytime council goes into discussion, we'll go ahead and focus on that discussion and go back and forth between the 2 screens. All right, so thank you, council, for taking that, taking into consideration. Appreciate that. So moving on, the city manager report. City manager and finance director contracts for employment. I would like to maybe do that at an executive session on 2/16/21. And the goal is that for each party just to get together and then is outline the objectives that we each want to see in those contracts. And again, any voting on those contracts will be held during a live regular meeting. Is council okay with this?
You're referring, no, these are referring to contracts for,
Employment.
okay.
Yeah.
Do we, since this is about city personnel, salary based, is that something that needs to be, as far as an open discussion, does that have to be done in executive session?
I don't think that discussion has to. I think we can go into executive session to discuss the terms of the contract, but any kind of voting on that would need to be an open session.
Right?
And I will run that by Jake, our legal attorney. So if he does warrant that to be in regular session, we can still do it at that same meeting.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so this is, what are you asking, if you're okay to move forward with this? Is that what you would?
Now, at our last meeting, we had decided to get together to kind of look at the terms of this, and council wanted to put people on some appointment. So I just put it on here that we can have a discussion on the contents of that contract.
Okay. okay, hang on, going on. But that'll be done in the executive session. Is that what you're saying for 216?
Yes.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
And then if council were to vote on anything, that would have to be during a live regular meeting.
Okay, correct. Gotcha. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Any discussion on that, or am I free to move on?
Yeah, council, anything? I can't see anybody. So council, is everybody else good to move on?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. Thank you. 101 South Main Street, completion anticipation date. We're excited about that. Right now, we are anticipating the week of February 15th to have all the work done. And soon after that, we can get to IT to move the county stuff over there. If we get done earlier with the internet, stuff like that, we can see if the county can move their stuff a little earlier. But again, we are anticipating the week of February 15th to have all the work completed. So we are very excited about that. As information comes on, of course, we will update council as it comes in. Motion to approve. I am seeking a motion to approve the city manager to enter into an MOU with AFSCME regarding employee vaccinations. It says city council will need to discuss aspects of the letter dated January 14, 2021 and email the city council on 1/22 of 2021. I'll go ahead and stop sharing the screen here. But what council needs to decide is what kind of policy you guys are going to have for the vaccinations. So hopefully everyone has read the email or refamiliarized the email that I sent out on 1/21. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bullet points that detail what the union is requesting. So council can have open discussion regarding if they plan to have policy about those vaccinations. I am concerned if council were to make that mandatory that we may have some, we may fight that a little bit. So what is council's stance on the vaccination and how it impacts the city employees?
We'll go with Mr. Cobb first, sir.
Yeah, well, my question being is, are we obligated to do this when it's free out there for people to take the shot?
I think what the union is requesting is if we're going to mandate our employees get vaccinated or not.
Yeah.
I don't think you can mandate that, can you?
I think some employers could. I think that's why they're kind of sending it to people. I don't know what they sent out to other municipalities, but they did send this to us. So I'm assuming there's some municipalities out there that are looking into that requirement. So the job of the union is definitely to get involved and see how that's going to be administered.
Well, I don't believe I'd make it mandate, but that'd be up to the individual, my personal opinion.
Sure.
Yeah, I would. Oh, sorry, Mr. Cobb.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say I agree with what you said. It's our coworkers, it's their lives, their body. I say if it's up to them if they want to take it or deny the shot. That's my 2 cents. Mr. Grimm, you're muted. Don't forget.
I would agree with you. I would find it unconscionable telling someone they have to have an injection. If they want to, that's fine.
Yeah.
More power to them. But for us to force it on them, I don't think that's right.
Yeah. Anyone else? Mr. Vice Mayor. And then we'll get to you.
I
Ben.
concur. This is a personal issue, and I don't believe that we should mandate this at all. And I think our response to the union should be that this is entirely up to the employee.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Ms. Eggleston.
I have to agree.
All right.
Personal decision.
All righty. Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right. Well, it sounds like, does that put you in the right direction, Mr. Bridge?
Yeah. Can I have a motion to approve me working with Jake, the attorney, to go ahead and issue an MOU regarding the non-mandatory vaccinations?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Eggleston with the motion, second by Mr. Rodwell. And any more discussion before Emily calls for the vote? All right. When you're ready, Ms. Berner.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Correct me, we're voting not to make it mandatory.
correct.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwell,
Yes.
That passes 7-0.
Very much, Ms. Burner. Mr. Cobb.
And where Mr. Bridge said that they would be ready by the 15th to move in down there at the 101 South Main, the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a question? All the past information that's stored upstairs in the old house, is there any way of shredding some of that?
Oh yeah, what the goal is, Mr. Cobb, just so everyone's on the same page, is once we move the substation down to 101, we're going to go through and have it records retention. We're only going to take down to our storage what we're required to legally keep. And then anything that we can shred, we're going to keep in that building. And then we're going to have shred it come up. But there's processes we have to go through records retention. But a lot of that stuff on the second floor is going to be shreddable under structure.
Is there also fire department information there, or is it stored in the firehouse?
I think the fire department came and got most of their stuff out already. There may be some odds and ends, but most of it up on that second floor is a lot of finance information from years past and tax information from years past.
Is it also feasible if they got stuff to shred out of their information to do it too?
Oh,
at some
absolutely.
time?
If we'll do all inclusive. We won't have them come up one day for us and then have them come up today for the fire. Yeah, it'll be a long day.
Oh, yeah.
Years past is literally just had a dumpster come up and people threw stuff out of that second floor window into that dumpster and then shredded it. And then shredded came and got it and shredded it.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. Real quick, I don't want to pull you too far off your report, Mr. Bridge, on that same subject. I don't know how far back our records go, but if there's something up there that's like really, real interesting as far as historical purposes go, and I'm just, throwing something fake out for, but the city built the bridge that went across the, by what, something like that. Is that something that we would go through and we could maybe keep, or, I don't know how that's usually done or handled.
Yeah, when you destroy records like that, the Historical Society gets a chance to come in and kind of look at some things.
Okay.
I don't like destructing, especially a lot of things for planning and zoning related, because we got some old maps in our town. I mean, we got maps when Northwoods was laid out. We got maps that were actually drawn by hand. This is some of the stuff like finance documents that we don't need any longer. A lot of that stuff packed full of history would be good to keep to actually give to the Historical Society for use.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Back to you, sir.
All right, let me get my share screen going. And I wish there's a simpler process to do this, but everyone just bear with me here. With it, just open it up from there. Okay, so we got that. So another discussion we had is tornado siren on Adams Tower. Council had some interest in retaining that. After our meeting, I got a call from our fire chief, and he is interested in housing that in the fire and EMS department. And he said he would display it for public viewing at some location at the station. So council can more definitely discuss on that. And if council's okay with giving that tower to the fire department for use, we can just go ahead and back that up with a motion.
Motion approved that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cobb, second by Mr. Vice Mayor. A question before we vote. Did you find out, or did Mr. Kitco say anything? Is that siren still active, or not active, but can it be used?
We're still looking into that. It is an old.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any other discussion before we call for the vote? All right. When you're ready, Ms. Burner.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston, and you're muted.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Cook.
Yes.
Motion to approve that is 7-0.
Thank you very much. And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Awesome. Thank you. What a good gift for the fire department. Moving forward, I'm just going to keep it up. There's not a lot of stuff to show. It won't take too long. Mayor's Court, next up. City Council needs to work out an action plan. Additional meetings will be needed. I think at the last meeting we had requested information, and I did email Chrissy Tomey at Enon, and I think a lot of those centered around the bailiffs, and basically they were bailiff being cross-trained, and then any backup bailiffs, and then auxiliary officers acting as a bailiff. So her response was, good afternoon. We typically have 2 or 3 officers familiar with being a bailiff, but we have trained someone within 5 minutes of court also. So basically just a quick synopsis of what they need to do. And it's basically just general stuff, stand there, and basically if someone would happen to threaten a magistrate or someone in the court, then the bailiff would step up. She did go on to sit there and say that South Charleston actually utilizes 2 bailiffs in their meetings, and solely because of their clerk, she don't have a room to go into. The court, the people who are there for court, just literally walk right up to her desk, so they didn't want that clerk to be unattended. So basically, it's always best to go ahead and cross-train a few of those, what we heard. But it sounds like if you're in a bind, it doesn't take long to train them just to step in for a night. So hopefully that's some information that council can use. I will, if council wants to copy this email, I'll go ahead and forward it out to you guys. It's not a big deal. But again, to reiterate, they do have multiple bailiffs knowing the job.
Okay. Council, any discussion on Mayor's Court? Mr. Cobb?
Are we gonna call it mayor's court or magistrate?
Magistrate, I think it's just put on there as Mayor's Court because it's just more common term, but yeah, magistrate's what we're going for.
Have we even decided where we want to put this thing?
Yeah, I think from what I understand, Mr. Bridge had a meeting with Christy from Enon, and I think she came over and looked at 101 Main and said that would be a good starter home for us. Did she not, Mr. Bridge?
She did.
Okay, thank you. So,
Thank you.
yep. Anyone else? Mr. Rodwa?
I mean, obviously we need to discuss this more before we go, but are we looking to do this once a month, twice a month? I mean, what does Enon do, if you don't mind me asking, Mr. Bridge? Is yours weekly?
I'm not too familiar with there. I think they do twice, but I think Mr. Cobb or Cook or Mr. Lowry probably.
Okay.
They visit.
Go ahead, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Okay, primarily, I believe in speaking with the magistrate, he would recommend probably the 2 court sessions a month, probably on the 1st and 3rd, or it could be the 2nd and 4th. He primarily right now is at Enon and South Charleston on Tuesday and Thursday. So that kind of left Wednesday open. And I believe he was leaning toward those dates of having that session. I believe that it could be a situation that we might start out with once a month. And then as the court cases grow, we could go to twice a month.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else on that one? All right. So what we discussed at the last council meeting was, I think, we wanted to have, if I remember correctly, Christy join the meeting to kind of get, council could ask some questions directly to her. And we have to adjust the rules of our rules so that she can join the meeting. So we'll have to address that later in the meeting so we can do that. But legally, I don't know how much you've talked to Jake about this, Mr. Bridge, but I mean, I'm assuming that there's, and maybe not, is there licenses that we have to put into place and apply for and things of that nature? I don't know enough about it.
The only information I got is the memo that he sent out to you guys. There will be some training required, regardless if a magistrate or a mayor does it. The mayor would still be responsible for training, not
Okay.
as an training, but there still be requirements. Past that, I think that's the only information that we all have been given. So I think that's the only training that we have to focus on is that magistrate, which if you bring someone over that's already trained, they have that credential, then the mayor would just have to assume the training as well.
Okay. And then obviously getting everything, fine tooth comb, legal aspect, but also getting the room and the area set up to hold those proceedings as well, taken care of. So I don't know, I don't know what council thinks or Mr. Bridge thinks if we should maybe do a work session on it to kind of like he has in the agenda, let's lay out, do we need to work on the building first? Do we need to, just get all the legal steps in place and then also get, the physical location of it worked out. I don't know what you guys would like to do, a work session or a separate work session or talk about it in the next work session. Mr. Vice Mayor.
I believe the magistrate stated that there were some paperwork that needed to be filed with the state. And consequently, I believe that if we authorize that change in the rules of council for next week or for next meeting, that we could have Christie and possibly the magistrate chime in with us, get us going at that point. Then if we need to have a work session after that, I think that would be the way to go.
Yeah, sounds good with me. So we'll just address it when we drop down farther in the agenda to make those changes. All right. And back to you, Mr. Bridge.
Thank you. Pool feasibility study, resolution tonight to amend rules to allow guest speakers during online meetings. So if approved, we'll be scheduling a speaker to assist city council in determining the aspects of a pool feasibility study. And the last thing I got for council is headshots for the new webpage. Right now I have tentative dates of February 11th or the 18th. Both of those dates are Thursday. I spoke with Andy Grimm. He's good with those dates. I will be hiring him to do these headshots for each of us. So we're good on the 11th or 18th. It's really just up to council availability. And we are interested in taking those headshots at the second floor of 101 South Main Street in that big open area up there. Mr. Grimm's going to bring his lights, his backdrops, all that good stuff. He's a great photographer. So the most confidence I have in him. So we do need to determine if council wants Ms. Berner to be included in that headshot or not.
Yes.
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 Sounds good. So Emily, now you can indulge in the discussion about the time and date. So 11th or 18th. On the 11th, we do have a BZA planning board meeting at 5:30. So just keep that in mind when you're scheduling the time.
Okay. So council, 11th or 18th, does those days both work? One better than the other? I'm open for either one.
My schedule is so full.
What time did you say again, Randy? I
The
apologize.
times that we haven't set a time, we just set the date. I didn't want to set a time because I know everyone has different schedules, so I wanted you guys to discuss the time.
Okay. Mr. Roadwall.
I will be out of town the 18th and 19th. So
Okay.
the 11th is best for me.
Okay.
Ms. Nowakowski, can you make something work on the 11th later in the evening or early afternoon? Or
No,
I
I'm
think that was sarcasm.
joking. Nobody has it scheduled. Anytime works for me.
I don't know. I mean, you could be a busy person. Okay. Mr. Grimm, Peg, anyone?
11's fine.
My schedule is work, eat, and sleep, but I'll try and work you in.
All right. Mr. Cobb, Mr. Cook?
Right now, yeah, for me.
Okay. You want, does something work better for Mr. Grimm? Or is he kind of open on those dates, Mr. Bridge?
The 11th, we just need to set a time.
So you want to do like an early afternoon, maybe like 2:33, council?
Are we assuming that he could work the let's say the 7-8 shots in 2 hours, 3 hours?
Yeah, it's going to take about 30 minutes to set up and about 5 minutes per person.
Take an hour, get up the steps.
Yeah.
We
Well,
have
Take
got the electric.
elevator inspection.
Miss Berner, does that date work for you in time or?
The time might be a little early for her.
Yeah.
If I can leave at 3:50, but I mean, if I can get up there, I
We
can
don't
leave
wanna-
straight from Park Lane, and
Well, I mean, we can make it what would be better, 4?
that's fine too. Yeah, like I could go last. You can do 3 to 4, and I can get up there
Okay, and if that
right
works,
then.
then
Whatever, I'll make it work. Just pick a time. I'll make it work. It's not a big
Just
deal.
come quick, you gotta go home.
all right, well, we'll just meet in the middle. How about on the 11th at 3:30, Mr. Bridge?
11th at 3:30?
Yep.
And then Emily, if you're running late, Andy's good. I'm sure he'll stick around for you. But we'll get that worked out. So
Mr.
February 11th at 3:30 at 101 South Main Street. Start at 3:30. I'll shoot the eat friendly reminder out for council so you guys can have that. But awesome. One more step to getting the website done. We're excited. So it's going to be 7 council members, clerk of council, and then your administrators. So we'll all just knock it out one day, and Andy can go do his work. I'm sure he's going to have to do a lot of magic on this to make it presentable, but That's why we're
He
hiring.
can put hair on you.
Hey, well, fantastic. I'm going to have a lot of hair. No.
Mr. Grimm, did you have something else? I thought I saw your hand up.
I think Randy answered it. I saw on the mock-up of the website space for department heads' pictures. But he just said they're going to be included, so
Awesome.
never mind.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the website. That is all I have for the city manager report. Of course, I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
All right. Council, any questions for Mr. Bridge? All right. I just had one, Mr. Bridge. At the last meeting, I don't know if I'm pretty sure I asked it. I asked you if you could check with Mr. Kitco. Did he have like a ballpark list of streets that he may be resurfacing this year? I know it varies every year as far as length and severeness of the roads. I didn't know if you'd checked with him on that or not.
No, we will be discussing that in our admin meeting on Thursday. It's one of the bullet points we're going to discuss it.
Cool. Thank you. That works for me.
Sure.
All right. Council, anything else before we move on? All righty. So moving on to comments from members of the public. Is it still just our same question, Mr. Bridge?
It is.
Okay. So Mr. Bridge is going to read this. We did read it in our work session, and we'll just kind of touch on it again, just for those who maybe missed the work session. When you're ready.
Okay, great. Good afternoon. I had a question regarding the sheriff's contract that was approved by the city. During the county commission meeting on January 20th, the county commissioners approved 3 contracts for the sheriff's office for New Carlisle, Moorfield Township, and Mad River Township. The contract approved is as follows. Mad River Township, $115,954.83. Moorfield Township, $231,909.66. New Carlisle, $590,305.46. My question is, why is the New Carlisle contract at a cost of $500,000? When you add up the other 2 contracts, they still do not match or go above the cost of our city's contract. When you take a look at the townships, they have bigger square miles, 33 square miles per township, and more population, between 10,000 and 12,000 residents per township. New Carlisle is only 2 square miles and has far less residents in our city, which I believe is around 6,500. Why are these contracts far less than our city's deal with the sheriff's office? Forgive me as I don't follow council meetings, but I feel our city is getting the bad end of the deal when you compare it with other areas. Thank you to the city and the council for taking time to address my concerns. Sincerely, Susan Ann.
All right. Thank you, Susan. Yes, we did address this. I don't know if you're watching or if you watched it in the work session, but it basically boils down to New Carlisle, us, council, our citizens. We like our deputies and we like the amount we have. So we contract 5 deputies currently. So that's why we may be a smaller area than the county or some of the other places you had listed. I think Mr. Cobb or Mr. Cook had mentioned that. Is it Moorfield only has 2? Is that correct?
Moorfield has only 2 deputies.
Okay, and then I think the county, like I think out in Bethel Township, maybe they only have a couple.
They have 1.
They have 1. So basically, it's the fact that we employ contract, I guess you will, more deputies, which equals the higher rate. The citizens have really stressed that they would like to have around the clock protection, all 3 shifts, first, second, and third. So the New Carlisle City Council has done their best to do that, and that's pretty much the answer. We have a higher contract because of more deputies. Did anyone else want to chime in or have any comments on that one? We'll go with Mr. Vice Mayor, then to Mr. Cobb.
Would that also include possibly some of the different equipment that would be supplied with each deputy and or with the contract in case?
Okay. Was that a statement or a question?
Statement.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't sure because you look like you were waiting for an answer. I was like, did I miss something? So, thank you, Mr. Cobb.
And another thing that she might want to look at is when we was down to just 2 deputies, there was a lot of vandalism, juvenile delinquency, break-ins. The lower the deputies you have, the more risk you're running. And that's the reason we voted to put 5 in.
Yep. We believe in a safer city as possible that we can afford. So, all right. And that was all for comments from the public, Mr. Bridge?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Linda's got one, Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Nowakowski. I apologize.
We had talked in the work session about the log house, and Jeff sent me an email, and I'd like to read that to you.
Do you, can we do it under other business, please?
Sure.
If you don't mind, just so we keep an order on the agenda here. So, yeah, I'm anxious to hear that. Okay, so moving on, comments from the committee reports, none tonight, so we'll drop down to resolutions. Ms. Berner.
All right, we have resolution 2021-02R, introduction, public hearing, and action tonight. A resolution amending New Carlisle City Council Rules of Council.
And on this one, do we need to amend this before we vote on it to add the individuals to be able to come into the meeting? Because it's not currently in here, correct?
No, that you're voting to amend your current council. So you'd have to go through the motions of this first, and then any subsequent additions to allowing people in would come after this approval.
Okay. Got it.
Motion to do it.
Mr. Cobb,
Motion to do it.
Second.
second by Mr. Rodwell.
Was that Mr. Cobb first? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Cobb, then a second by Mr. Rodwell.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Mr. Grimm?
Does this take, if this passes, does this take effect immediately?
It will be effective 2/15/2021, which will be a day before your actual meeting. Your next meeting is on 2/16.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
so if this passes today, are we legally allowed to make a motion to add that change now, or does it have to be done in 15 days?
I would actually just go ahead and make your change and then do that, and then because it's effective on the 16th. So the other option is go ahead and let it change, and on the 16th, you guys can have your motion to let people in. Because that's when the actual resolution is going to be effective.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion, council? Are you good to go, Mr. Grimm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure. Ms. Berner?
Okay, Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwell.
Yes.
Motion's approved, 7-0.
All right.
Moving on, we have resolution 2021-0.
Hang on. Mr. Bridge?
So what I'll do is go ahead and have the people on standby for the 16th, and you guys can go ahead and make your motion. And then once you make your motion, I'll let them in.
Okay, gotcha.
Perfect.
Thank
Sorry to interrupt you, Emily.
Okay, no, you're good. Resolution 2021-03R, introduction, public hearing, and action tonight. A resolution authorizing the gift of unneeded city property.
Council.
So move.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor, and I think I heard Mr. Grimm with the second.
Grimm?
First.
The explanation of this resolution is to go ahead and gift the World Thread sign to the New Carlisle Historical Society.
All right. Council, any discussion on this one? All right, when you're ready, Ms. Berner.
All right, Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
An enthusiastic yes.
Motion accepted, 7-0. We have, our next one is resolution 2021-04R, introduction, public hearing, and action tonight. A resolution providing for the permanent transfer of funds from the general fund to the debt service, capital, and enterprise funds of the city of New Carlisle.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Who got the second on that?
I
I'm
lost
not
it all. I heard that sound and started laughing.
We all did.
Who Who was the first?
Cook,
Okay.
I think.
And second, who was the second? Miss Nowakowski with the second.
Okay.
I heard the dog first.
Is that what it was? Dog?
First.
Does he get a vote?
All right.
Good explanation of this resolution. It is to actually transfer 222,000 out of our general fund. And those are going to go to 170,000 of that's going to go to our general bond retirement. 25,000 of that is going to be set away to a government center fund. And then 60,000 will be transferred to the pool and 30,000 to the cemetery.
Council, any discussion? All right, when you're ready, Miss Burner.
Wait a minute, Mr. Mayor,
Oh, sir, yes, go ahead, sorry.
50,000 to the pool. I thought it was 80.
It was 60,000 to the pool.
All right.
All right, and if no one else, back to you, Miss Burner.
All right. Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
yes,
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Moving on to our ordinance. This evening, we have ordinance 2021-02, public hearing and action tonight. And this was introduced at the January 19th meeting via motion. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to purchase a new pickup truck for the planning department.
Council,
so moved.
Second.
a motion by Miss Eggleston, second by Miss Nowakowski.
Okay, and an explanation of this ordinance is to go ahead and purchase a new pickup truck for the planning department.
All right, thank you, sir. And any discussion? All right, and when you're ready, Miss Burner.
Okay, Councilman Cobb,
No.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes,
Vice Mayor Cook,
Begrudgingly, yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm,
Yes.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski.
Yes.
That motion passes 6-1. Would you
All
like
right.
me to read the other business?
Oh, sure. While you're at it, that would be wonderful.
All right. City offices will be closed on Monday, February 15th, 2021 to observe President's Day. The council meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 16th, 2021 at the regular scheduled times. And now for any additional city business is open for discussion.
All right, and I'll hand it back to Miss Nowakowski with a letter she would like to go over.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jeff Eggleston from Jeff's Automotive. We have a log house located on Church Street that we no longer need. I think it may be the oldest house in New Carlisle. As close as I can tell, the house is in good condition structurally. We would like to see it rebuilt somewhere to preserve the education and historical value. We would donate the house to the city and the Historical Society, but we can't afford to do the whole project ourselves. If you can find a place to put the house, I think that our community combined has the talent and resources to make this happen. If council likes the idea and can find a place for it, I will pursue the project further. Please consider it and let me know. Thank you, Jeff Eggleston.
Awesome. Are you guys related? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Yes, he's my oldest younger brother.
I know, I'm just kidding. Yes, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the letter.
Brother.
Uh, yeah, I think what we discussed earlier would be great. If the first stepping stone would be if Mr. Kitco could give us a thumbs up or down if he thinks it would fit, physically work in Smith Park. I mean, I don't know what council thinks. If they have any other questions or comments, you're welcome to go over them. Mr. Grimm.
Is Mr. Kitco qualified to determine whether or not it's sound? Mr. Bridge?
No.
Okay.
Not a building inspector. So that was some of the things I had noted is hopefully before council decides to take that we have that inspected from a structural standpoint, because it does go over in that park, which I think is a fantastic location for it. We're going to, especially if it's going to be our property, we're at that point in time going to assume that liability. So if it's a functional building people walk in and out of, that's a whole different set of inspections versus, if it's just going to be there for people to look at the outside of it. So I think that determination is, we'll have to reach out to the county, and then I will address it and talk to Howie about it in our staff meeting. But there's some other bigger things we should probably look at other than if it could fit in Smith Park, especially like Mr. Grimm said, the soundness of it.
Agreed.
And other communities have moved older buildings like that, log cabins, and most of them have done it, help within the community. I'm sure that if it is not financial, I'm sure that it'll be dismantled piece by piece and then moved and reassembled, like other communities have done. And I'm sure that during the reassembly, there could be adjustments made to make it more sound.
Yeah, good idea. I never even thought of the structure, safety part of it. So good call on that one, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Cobb, did you have something to add?
Yes, sir. Couple things. One, it'd be cheaper to just move the whole unit down the street. There is companies that do that. The second one, is there a basement underneath that?
I think that there's a small basement under it, but it's not a full basement.
Probably more of a crawl space,
Right.
cellar room.
It's more of like a cellar.
I mean, I like to say it'd be cheaper to just haul the whole thing down the street. If you're going to take it to the park or take it over to Hensley Park, you can put it there.
Right.
I mean, I don't think any of us are qualified for that. I think we should probably reach out to, a building inspector or someone who restores old buildings for a living. First thing you have to do is get the siding off to check the structure itself. So.
Yeah. Okay. Ms. Nowakowski.
I know that Jeff has been talking about this for a couple of years and has been investigating it. So I'm sure that he's on top of that part of it in terms of moving it and what's going to be required.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Rodwell, then we'll get Mr. Bridge.
I mean, is the house currently occupied, or when was the last time it was lived in?
Oh, it's been lived in recently, if it's not currently.
So structurally, I mean, if it's been lived in here recently, structurally, it's probably, I would say I wouldn't say 100% that it's safe, but
I mean, his daughter lived in it for a long time, and then she moved and somebody else moved in, but I think they're talking about expanding the office space there.
Yep. So.
Okay. Dale, let me get to Mr. Bridge, unless you want to wait, Mr. Bridge.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Council. Yeah, please do. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Grimm.
I think we should have Jeff go ahead and remove the outer shell, the new part, expose the log cabin, and then bring a county building inspector in to take a look at it. Once we determine whether or not it's sound, then we can decide whether it'd be best to dismantle it and move it piece by piece, or move the whole thing as it is.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, I think, I think you could probably, I would assume, tell Jeff that the city's definitely interested in it. Just got to do the first few steps to make sure that it'll physically be possible. Go ahead, Ms. Nowakowski.
I think he's also already started investigating possible funding within the city to cover the cost of moving it. he's active with Rotary and has been investigating a lot of stuff with that.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Grimm.
Has he talked with Dave McWhorter? I'm sure
Yes.
the Historical Society could raise money too.
Right.
They're pretty good at that.
Yeah. Mr. Bridge.
All right, so I'm going to piggyback on what Mr. Grimm said, because I took a note down there, and he's right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to call the county up there, the county building inspection, have them get their opinion on it, because here's the way we should really be looking at this. Despite someone living in it now, say even if they move the structure as a whole and move it to its new location, or even take it down and reassemble, that's still going to mess with the structural integrity of the house. So if we take it down and rebuild it, I'm almost positive there's going to be a building permit needed from the county. And then here's the other thing too, is especially what council's end result of this. Say if you guys want to have a dedicated to the historical society, so people can come in and look at New Carlisle artifacts. Some of that stuff may need to be updated in current terms and current standards. If it's something the house is old, the electrical work might be not to the best in it. So there might be subsequent costs to having this above and beyond just relocating. So anytime that we take something old and make it new, we have to follow to today's current standards. But what we'll do is the county would be a great place to start with that. So I'll go ahead and start engaging them, and then see what they may have experience in this. I know they're very verse people up there with a lot of experience, but I think that's a good starting point to give information to council.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, did you have something?
No, I've so far been sitting here hearing all of this, and I think Randy's got the right, I guess, over the spin on this. Start with the Bill County and then work from there.
Okay.
And let him and Jeff kind of get this thing out and come back to us with what we need.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Eggleston and Ms. Nowakowski, for that information and update. Anything else before we move on? All right, tonight we will be going into an executive session to discuss the employment of a public employee. And then when we return out of executive session, I don't see any potential business to take place afterwards. So with that being said, I guess we will need a motion to do so.
Motion to go to the executive.
A little break, Mr. Mayor. Sorry.
What's that?
5-minute break. Is that okay?
Yeah, do you want to do, I was going to do the vote and then do a 5-minute, or do you want to do it now? Then?
Oh, no. I was just saying somewhere in between the two meetings.
Yeah. As soon as we take the vote, we'll do a real quick 5-minute break. So Mr. Cobb was our motion, and who's our second?
I'll
Second.
say,
Mr. Grimm is our second.
Councilman Rodwald,
Yes.
Councilwoman Nowakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry,
Yes.
Councilman Grimm.
yes.
That motion's accepted 7-0.
All right. So we're in executive session. We'll do a quick 5-minute break for restroom breaks, Mountain Dew refills, or snack time.
A friendly reminder to council, what we need to do is go ahead and end this meeting and then rejoin with the executive session link.
Correct.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You.
Do you need me there?
I got If that's
Yeah,
okay.
no, I don't believe we do.
Okay, great.